All right, episode 2 with Love, Megan. This is a review. I watched the show, so you don't have to. So, in the opening scene, shows Megan picking blueberries and raspberries in the garden, the rented garden. And then, she starts off cooking, making coffee in the morning. She's chit chatting, talking about, this is the meal I would make in the morning because taking the kids to school is very busy. And I'm thinking I won't be chopping up nothing, cooking nothing like that unless I wake up at like 4 in the morning and doing all that. That's a lot of prep. But she's making this breakfast for her friend Mindy, who's coming over later on in the show. So when she opens up the refrigerator, you don't really see a lot of food. You just mainly see the ingredients if you really pay attention to see what's in the refrigerator in that 3 second clip. Um, so I I'm like, cool, right? So her friend Mindy is coming over and she comes and they start talking about the preservatives that she made in her real kitchen, not this kitchen, her real one. So she was like, I made 50 of them, and whoever should be happy or appreciative that I made them in my real kitchen. Because she sent one to Mindy, and Mindy's like, oh my God, that was the most glamorous part of my life. And I'm just like, boo, some preservatives in the mail is the glamorous moment of your life. Boo, bye. Shoot. Anywho's, so they eat she said it was like an African dessert. I don't know. It looks yellow with some, looks like yellow jello with some whipped cream on it. So, oh, jeez. So they eat that first. And I'm like, shouldn't you guys be eating that egg looking thing you made 30 minutes earlier? So they eat the dessert first, and then they eat the cor, corzante. I don't know what it was, but they put again. She puts real leaves on it, but come to find out, she's like, oh, it's edible flowers. So I'm like, oh, so you can eat them, but still, I don't want to eat no leaves. I don't want to eat no leaves. So she put leaves on the egg, and then she goes, how much salt did you put on it? And then she's like, well, I have a husband who loves to put salt on everything. So I just lightly pinch it. And I'm like, okay. I'm like, okay. And then she was like, let's have a martini. So they have like alcohol in the morning, probably like what, like 11. And she puts like this sweet nectar in it. And she's like, oh, I never had nectar in a martini. And she's like, oh, and Meg was like, I love a fruity martini. And I'm like, she pulls out like some strawberries, she pulls out the nectar, and I think she pulls out some blueberry. And she pours it in. And then they click the glasses and they start drinking. And she was like, I don't want to get drunk early in the morning. And then so now she was like, do you know about the kid's birthday party? And Mindy's like, yeah. So she was like, I made arch balloons for Archie's birthday. And then it shows, and then it says like a picture of it. Child, I'm just like, boo. Okay, so she starts. They're making the balloon arch in the back house, and she's showing us how. Megan is showing us how to put the. Well, not us, but she's showing Mindy how to put the arch together. Okay, so then the next scene, they go back to the main house, and then they start talking about how good Megan looks. She's like, I like your look. And Megan's like, excuse me? She's like, I like your lock. A lock or something. Yeah, lock. I like your lock. And then she was like, you mean my look? And she was like, yeah, your lock. Oh, she goes, and then Megan goes, oh, I'm a little slow. Whatever. I go, girl, I didn't get it either. Okay. And I'm like, what is a lock? Okay. And then she starts naming like Ralph Lauren. Her shirt is something I never heard of. Girl, she just looks plain. Child, it just look like regular clothes to me. Right? And then like they start making like sandwiches for kids. You know how they have like the little heart, and then they have like a little a star, and then you press it down. So they start doing all that, right? And then so she was like, and then she started talking about the food that she ate as a kid, like Jack in the Box, Burger King, uh, all those fast foods or whatever. And then she started talking about the Hungry Man, the frozen foods or whatever, because that's what her mom fed her as a kid. And then so Mindy goes, I never thought Meghan Markle. And then she was like, it's success. I'm like, bitch, everybody calls you Markle. You do not correct everybody and be like, it's success. No, you don't. No, you don't. Like, you need to stop being rude because everybody knows you as Meghan Markle. Bitch, you are not a princess. Anywho's, I thought that was just like hella rude. Like, you're a duchess, you're not a princess. It's just two different things. So we're just gonna keep calling you Markle. I know I am because that's what I know you as. And then so I could see like Mindy's like, okay, whatever. But I thought that was just like hella rude. Like, that's your name, bitch. And 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 then so it moves to like another scene, like the previous day again, where she's making the goodie bags for the kiddies. She's only making like four. Like, ain't no damn kids. Anyways, so she was like, you know how all these other goodie bags. This is how I make mine. We're gonna put like a little planter where they can put it in the ground, put their seeds, and just see it sprouts up. I'm gonna put some seeds, maybe some poppycock, and then it will be up to the kids to find their own soil. I'm just like, bitch, that's not a goodie bag. That's a survival bag. And then she was like, I'm going to put this so they know what seeds they are growing. I'm like, where's the candy? Where's the little clappers? Like, where is something fun that goes inside the goodie bag for a kid? Like, I understand, like, you want to be like healthy and grow, but Like, bitch, it's California. We barely got any soil. Like, all our shit is mostly concrete, unless you was here back in what, the 1920s, and people ain't trying to buy your shit, right? And you got like 2 acres of land. Like, girl. Or if you're like a millionaire in Montecito, well then yeah, you can. But the average kid, dude, we live in apartments. Like, girl, you are so out of touch. Talk about how you can make this goodie bag for kids. Kids don't want that shit. Anywho, moving right along. And then so it goes back to the main kitchen where her and Mindy is. And then she's talking about, we're gonna cut this bread. I like to cut at an angle. And then Cindy's like, you only cut at an angle if you're bougie or whatever. I'm like, I guess because they're way older than me, I don't get the jokes. I'm trying to get it, but I'm just not getting their jokes. And again, if they were friends for a long time, then it wouldn't be like awkward. I'm just saying. And then so they start talking about I think I'm getting ahead of myself. And then they start talking about suits or whatever. So they start talking about suits, and she's talking about some show she was on. And then Megan was like, yeah, I like living in Canada, and then season 2 in Canada. And I wish I had some friends in Canada, and this and that and this, because she was on Suits for 7 years. I said, boo. What the fuck is a Suits? Like, I don't know about y'all, but I never heard of Suits. And it would probably be boring to me because I'm not really into like, this sounds like a soap opera. I ain't gonna lie. Suits sound like a soap opera. So, and then so they're laughing or whatever. And then so she's like, you could put like the goat cheese on it. So she starts spreading like the goat cheese on the bread. And then so she puts those eatable flowers. And I'm just like, there she goes with the flowers. Like, she just keeps putting flowers on the goddamn bread. But hell, they're eatable. Right? So that's why she starts talking about the teacher who taught her about the eatable flowers. And she's like, oh my God, he's dead. And all this other stuff. And how she wished she could do this, wish she could do that. Or whatever. And then so in the next scene, it goes back to the day before where she's putting together a platter, a rainbow fruit platter. Right? So she got her strawberries, her raspberries, her blueberries, her nectarines, her mandarins, and the bananas for the clouds. Right? Oh, kiwi, pineapple, all the goodies, right? And then she's like, I'm going to show y'all how to make a single plate for the kiddies. And I'm like, girl, you don't need to do all that. We saw the first demonstration. Like, we don't need to do that. So she puts like a little bit of strawberries, a little bit of blueberries, a little bit of raspberries, and like a little bit of nectarine. And then she puts the bananas for the clouds and puts like a little whipped cream. It's cute. It was given. It was cute. And then then it goes back to the main house, and she's showing Cindy the fruit platter. Okay. And she's like, oh my God, right? Because they all have to be dramatic or whatever. And she goes, I made this for you or whatever. And then she was like, we gotta have bloody martinis. I'm just like, how many freaking drinks are you guys having in a span of an hour? Like, damn. The girl said she don't want to get drunk. Meghan, listen, right? And then they're like, and then Meghan was like, oh, we gotta make tea. It has to be minty. So let's go into the garden. So they go into the rented garden, okay? And then they make the tea or whatever. And then so they said, while our tea is brewing, we gotta go get dressed. So they come back in the next scene. Why does Mindy look so beautiful? Okay, right? In her dress. And Megan just looks like Megan, right? And then so it could either be like a gazebo. I think it was like a gazebo. I put little house. I didn't know how to describe it, but it looks like a gazebo, I guess. And then she was like, "Oh my god, look at the little uh lady flies or whatever." Because that's what they call ladybugs in London, little lady flies. And so she was like, "Give me one of those." And then they were eating it in the little gazebo. And they were talking. They're like, "This is what it is. This is how it looks. Look at the little arch balloon you made. Oh, it's so cute." And then so in the next scene, they're sitting down, but they're in their regular clothes. And she was like, "Oh, we're gonna make daisy bands or daisy ropes or whatever they're called. You know those little daisy things are going like a hairband." And she was like, "Oh my god, Megan, I want to see you make yours." And then so we see it was already made, and then she puts it on her face. I mean, on her head. And oh, it's a daisy chain. Yeah, a daisy chain. And then that's how it goes off. It was pretty interesting. I like Mindy.